to the Red Web. Welcome back. So just so you know, that intro, which was like totally fabulous, loved it. I'm actually going to off course this a little bit. I'm going to take a little break from the Dark Side of Heroes, and we'll finish that episode next week. But I figured since the Phoneix movie is coming out this week,
yes,
it might be a good time to talk about Phoneix and X-Men and kind of tie it in and see what's what.
And it's not too far off. Like, it is the dark side
the dark
of
Phoneix.
Jean Grey.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, like our regular segments is the anti-heroes, and to a degree, she was, or the Phoneix Force was.
If you're watching X-Men 3, then definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
But, so, yeah, Jean Grey, introduced back in X-Men #1, that was, what, 1963?
Oh, wow, you're going all the way back to the original.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Well,
she Marvel Girl then?
Yes,
Yeah, she's Marvel.
known as Marvel. Now, here's one of the fun things about it. And a lot of people don't know that the original Fantastic Four were meant to be the elements, whereas the Thing is a rock, Human Torch is fire. Those are obvious. Mr. Fantastic was supposed to be like flowy like water, and Invisible Woman was supposed to be, the wind was her invisible powers. So that was where they came up with that. Well, when they went to go create X-Men, they kind of almost did the exact same thing. It was like Angel was in the air, Beast was the guy from the jungle, so he was technically the earth, and Cyclops' visor was the heat, and Iceman water, duh, So, but they ended up wanting us, okay, now they're so similar, we want to kind of break it up and do something, and they wanted to add another character, and enter Jean Grey. So, I always thought that was a kind of a little fun one. But
Interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, she started off as Marvel Girl, and that's actually, to me, kind of boring. I don't think she was particularly popular of a character. I mean, she was like the only female in the whole.
Well, I know I've had
Institute.
several friends over the years that have identified with Marvel Girl and really love her as their favorite X-Men. So
yeah,
she does.
Well, I'm not talking about in
before
whole.
there was even a Phoneix.
Yep. So we're gonna try and get a little bit of the background for Marvel Girl / Jean Grey, but we're gonna kind of more focus on the Phoneix story, which is the fun part, which is coming up next. Now, this is one of the most recognized story arcs ever.
Yeah, definitely.
However,
Chris
it wasn't.
Claremont.
Yes, Chris Claremont. However, Marvel never called it the Phoneix Saga.
Yeah.
They never called it Phoneix Saga. They never called it Dark Phoneix Saga until they started doing the trade paperback collections. And so that's actually kind of fun. It was the fans. It's the fans who referred to it as the Dark Phoenix Power. So, back before internet and making it again, there were still fans influencing the comics and stuff. So that was actually kind of a cool thing. But Uncanny X-Men, I don't know. What do y'all want to throw in there?
Well,
I can't do all the talking.
Yeah, I mean, there's been many movie and television incarnations of this storyline. I mean, I think the best was probably the '90s X-Men cartoon,
right?
By far.
Yeah.
I love Famke, but
yeah, any kind of reiteration of X-Men, they will always do
Jean
some
Grey.
form of Phoenix.
Yeah,
Right.
Like even X-Men Evolution, they didn't even actually do anything.
But they built up to it.
But they built up to it
Yeah.
and had it in the flashback episode.
Well, so-
in the flash forward finale.
So the '90s animated series, this is like the fun part. It's generally considered to be the best incarnation or representation of the Phoenix Saga because the original Phoenix Saga, Marvel cheated. Like, they straight up cheated. They said, "Oh, take it back. Never mind." It was supposed to be that it actually was Jean. They really wanted Jean to go nuts and kill everybody. So if you don't know that, Jean saves an airplane, dies, ends up at the bottom of the ocean, comes up Phoenix, right? Then she starts going crazy, ends up killing a whole Shire Empire. She destroys a star, which kills like a whole inhabited planet.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was the whole absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly.
It was that whole adage, and that was what that was
Yeah.
supposed to be.
And so
was
she- Killed, mass murdered everybody. And then she died. I think she
actually
had some remorse at the end. She killed herself.
yeah.
Yeah. So there was like a little bit of something in there, but then they come back years later.
And we're like, no, it's an alien force that
Oh,
took
yeah.
over her.
Exactly. It wasn't until after that they find her real body at the bottom of the bay. Actually, no, wait. This is the better part. First, after she dies, and this is what I call Scott Summers as a jerk part 1. After she dies, Scott Summers falls in love with this random woman that he meets who looks just like Jean Grey.
That's crazy.
And originally the writers intended for it to be just coincidence, but he's like, her body's not even cold yet. I'm gonna go and marry this because she looks like her. I don't know. It's kind of cold, I think. It's cold, but so when Phoenix comes back, she finds him with a wife and child, and he like immediately turns around and abandons. That's Scott Summers in Jerk Part 2. He turns around and goes right back to Jean Grey.
There are a lot of parts.
But yeah, but her real body was discovered after 2 clones of her existing, and their little take back was oh well, it wasn't really Jean Grey, it was the Phoenix Force, and they made a clone body out of cosmic energy to house it because she was the perfect host, but now that she's dead we miss her. It was kind of weird. So that's you get upset about a lot of the modern storylines, like the Hydra Captain America and all that stuff.
And that all started off the whole X Factor. Mm-hmm. That was the whole launch for X Factor.
Are you telling me that X3 Phoenix is actually highly accurate?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. Yeah, there was, and so basically it was kind of, they were teeter-tottering. Jim Shooter, who was Marvel editor-in-chief at the time, he didn't want her to come back. He wanted her to remain dead. I think through something, who was writing it at the time? Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum, right? Who was writing X-Men at the time? No, to bring her back.
Yeah.
But when they went to bring her back, they kind of got it under Shooter's nose, which is weird because he puts a foot down on everything, and they insisted that he approved it, but he just kept saying no, I didn't like that or whatever. And actually, it got kind of harsh because one of the things that I found most interesting is he compared the whole idea of giving her redemption by saying, oh no, it wasn't her, it was a crazy alien. Kind of underestimated the impact of the story to begin with, first of all, which is kind of interesting. And also, he compared it to forgiving Hitler, basically. He's like, we just had this thing happen. There were no consequences. I know, we gotta love some Jim Shooter, but never any PC in there. But, yeah, so that was kind of a thing. And, in fact, in the history of the Phoenix storyline, it's gone back and forth between, the morality, who's responsible for what, and everything like that. So that's actually kind of weird.
It's Xavier's fault.
Oh yeah, it's Xavier's fault. I mean, he's a master manipulator. Everybody forgets some of the stuff he pulls. Yeah, like for a while, Jean first stepped up when Professor Xavier got killed, so she took over. But then you later find out it was kind of the same stick. Marvel, no imagination. It was a shape changer that Xavier hired to take his place while he was gone. So, yeah, that was actually why he was funny. So a lot of cool stuff like that. There's just these cards. There's just too much stuff on them. There's just talk. I love it. But,
so, what do you think the biggest impact of Jean Grey? Do you think the Dark Phoenix saga, the original Dark Phoenix saga, is going to be the biggest impact that Jean Grey has ever had in comics?
Actually, in the history of comics, it is probably one, like I said, one of the most impactful storylines, especially the how the longevity of it and how it arced over. And it was one of the first major company-wide crossovers because the first Phoenix saga actually took place in Fantastic Four and Avengers as well, which a lot of people don't realize. And so there's that. It kind of it keeps on, the ramifications of that storyline are still being felt today in the comic book,
And that's why it's been told so many times in the in cartoons and in movies. I mean, the new one's coming out.
Yeah, and then like I said,
Thursday.
the 90s cartoon got it best because they had a chance to not make it like the whole clone thing and stuff like that, which was kind of fun. You get back up to the her coming back and everything, doing X Factor, which is the original X-Men re-teaming back up. Actually, which was really kind of weird, was they weren't actually going to use Jean Grey. They didn't want to bring her back. It was supposed to be Dazzler. She actually got bumped for Jean Grey, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, they went through that. Apocalypse, Cyclops becoming a jerk again by making her go into the future and help raise Cable psychically in like future bodies. I don't know that part. I'm not. My husband's the X-Men guy. I'm telling you right now, everybody. I had to probe his brain, and I'll admit, I try not to make this show a regurgitation of Wikipedia, but some of the stuff I'm like, even me, I'm like,
what?
Really, Marvel? Like, Yeah. So like,
Well, also, I think a lot of it comes down to what you love, because I know that there's a lot of crazy things that happen in Spider-Man, but we forgive it because of the fact that we love Spider-Man so much.
Yeah.
Oh no, I still don't forgive One More Day. I still
No, that's one that I think everybody just
that's a sin that
I
somebody's got
flipped
to
the
burn
table.
for. Yeah.
I stopped reading Spider-Man for a while after that.
Yeah,
And I was
exactly.
like, I mean, even today, it's like I'm like hesitant. It's like Black
Right.
Cat, okay, maybe. As a matter of fact, Black Cat's coming out with a new.
Oh, we'll get to her when we do anti-heroes. We're gonna do anti-heroes.
Her new series is coming out tomorrow.
Oh, okay. We'll pick up her
Number
new series
one,
tomorrow,
yeah.
and Greg, he's gonna review it next episode because that's actually where we're going is anti-heroes. Well, like the intro said,
Embrace the dark.
And that's so. But yeah, that's kind of cool. In fact, the first time that Jean went dark after she came back was when she joined the Hellfire Club.
I was just about to ask about them.
Yeah. So basically, another psychic mutant. What is Wingard's powers? Like I said, I don't know X-Men, but
All I
X-Men as
know
much.
is they dress in Renaissance clothes, except the women
who
wear
are
corsets, underwear,
Yeah.
and a cape.
Yeah, I was talking to my girlfriend Anastasia, and I'm like, I really wish you would give me some input if you didn't know, because she's like great with like some feminism stuff and everything, and I'm like, this is some messed up stuff, like I said, just kicking her to the curb and like, oh, she's dead, whatever, and then she's back as the Goblin Queen, and but yeah, the first time that we're on Phoenix, I'm trying to not diverge, I do that,
Well,
but
because in Wolverine and the X-Men, the Hellfire Club cause the Phoenix. Like, that's the big reveal at the end of the season.
they keep moving weird things.
It
Well,
doesn't make sense.
And yeah, she goes bad, and the Hellfire Club sees the spark of bad in her because, like we said, it was supposed to be her to begin with and everything, and then that's like the first time she went bad. But yeah, all of course it's and stuff. If you've seen the X-Men, the first new X-Men, First Class. Oh, but First Class, that Emma Frost, that's how she dressed in the comic books, which, was bizarre. Yeah, so women in the comics is crazy. But eventually, she went back good, and they saved her and stuff, and then she went nuts, and then they went outer space.
But I think that was actually the first thing that started turning her down the dark path, though.
Right.
Because I think she was all good up to that point, and then, like, that kind of put a kernel in there.
Well,
but start turning her,
which is cool, but then it goes back to the morality thing of oh well, it wasn't really her, but the thing is when they did create the Phoenix Force and it kept coming back, even the Shire Empire kept trying to catch her and execute her for the death of the star system, but the Phoenix Force has been woven in and out. Her unrequited love for Wolverine, I think that's one of the things that bugged me the most about the first X-Men movie is they really, really overplayed it. And by the third one, I was like, okay, Cyclops, whatever, you're all gone in Act 1, and then it's Wolverine. I hate that.
And then it's really creepy in Apocalypse.
Right.
When she's 16 and there's weird moments like, come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was something that there was a lot of subtext in that too. I mean, she was the only girl in the mansion with 4 other guys, and even Professor Xavier was written a little bit sketchy. Yeah. So that's one of the things. Like I said, comics, different time, blows my mind. But nowadays they've done. I don't know what was the last. The last big thing with the Phoenix was the A versus X. So she came back, her powers went down, then she got her powers back, as comics do. And then the Phoenix Force comes for her because it's like her favorite perfect host. And the Avengers want to kill her before it can happen and all this stuff. And yeah, it was that. So it comes into it was like the Phoenix Force is in like half the X-Men for like a while, like the team 5 people had the powers and stuff.
Well, Phoenix Force shows up other times as well. Like for example, she actually showed up. The Phoenix Force by itself showed up in one of the comics with Jane Foster Thor.
Oh yeah.
That was an amazing thing. But I love Jane Foster Thor, so.
Right, but I don't know. Like you said before, that story was so impactful and it's been woven in and out of so many different things. All the way since the first appearance of Phoenix Identity was in Uncanny X-Men 101.
Right.
And one of my favorite things, and this is something my husband insisted I say on the show, we keep seeing it on merchandise, like T-shirts and coffee cups and stuff. There's this one image of a Phoenix saying, "I am Phoenix," but that's actually one story that she's not actually in, because it's Kitty Pryde with a clothing fabricator and Nightcrawler bamfing her around to scare the Shi'ar into, like, I don't know what, but...
So they clickbaited you.
Yeah, exactly. So I see these T-shirts all the time, and every time I'm like, now that I know, I giggle it because I'm reading a comic book. Oh, that's kind of funny that some guy just randomly picked. Oh, this is a good picture of Phoenix off the internet. I'll make a T-shirt out of it.
So to be fair, comic books clickbait a lot with the covers. You don't know how many times I've gone in to be like, oh, Gambit's on the cover of this So's rug. Great, I'm buying it. They're not in this.
Yeah. Yep. But Phoenix, I don't know what's to be said about the Phoenix that we haven't said. I mean, we can go over Jean's life and stuff, but...
Well, I'm looking forward to the new movie.
Yeah.
The new movie's coming out Thursday. I'm going to be at the Bullock Texas State History Museum Laser IMAX to watch it.
Awesome.
On Thursday. And I'll actually be giving away free passes to Greater Austin Comic Con for
children's
kids.
passes if y'all stop by 12 and under. So
yeah.
if you're watching it at Bullock, which I highly recommend their IMAX, it is the way to watch a superhero movie. Catch Greg over at he'll be there, and some cosplayers, and it'll be fun. You can take pictures with them, take your kids, and get free passes to it and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
We'll have people in costume and stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see my husband's reaction to this, because he's really, really anxious for this.
Yeah.
Because ever since X2, he has been jonesing for them to fix it, like seriously jonesing. Because for those of you who don't remember, in X2, X-Men United, she sacrifices herself.
Exactly.
And
how she does the
ends
first
up at the bottom of the water. Mm-hmm. And right when it happens, there's like just a flash. Just you blink and you miss it. The bird under the water.
Yeah.
And the Firebird. And when she came back, it was just all wrong. I'm talking about diminishing the impact. This is why I don't like the Wolverine Jean Grey thing, the love triangle, whatnot, is because Jean Grey and Cyclops were always kind of, to me, supposed to be like, Lois Lane, Clark Kent. They kind of go together. But it was actually Cyclops who had to kill her. And that made a lot more sense, and it made it more, But then they put Wolverine in there because he sells more T-shirts and mugs. And
no one likes Scott Summers.
Yeah, let's
to be fair, he's a whiny little.
Part 3?
No, we're on Scott Summers is a jerk part 4. It was after Jean's.
Oh yeah, because he already made Jean cables telepathically.
So then after his love of his life dies for the third or fourth time. Mm-hmm. He ends up, we go back to the Hellfire Club with Emma Frost. Well, she's turned good and is providing psychic therapy, but they're actually having a psychic affair, and it's actually starting to get really, when I talk about the misogyny of some of this stuff, you cannot go much further than Emma Frost. I am sorry, she's like the poster child for
she's like the ideal, like, gonna wear scantily clothes, like literally corset and a thong,
and she probably goes shopping in it.
Yeah, and
you want to know
stripper heels.
I know, it's
like
off subject.
6-inch
It's off
boots.
subject. The only time I've ever liked Emma Frost was, oh gosh, I cannot remember her name. And this is when you're gonna just know how old I am. The Generation X TV movie.
Yes.
That was the only time I ever liked her. But
I love that movie.
It was kind of fun. Yes, there exists a Generation X, and
it was made by MTV.
Jubilee is still not Asian. She's still not Asian, which is weird. Is where it starts.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I could find that link. We could post it.
Right, exactly. Sure. That would be kind of cool.
It is a masterpiece.
Matt Frewer is
90s.
like in top form camp. I mean, it's right off of Max Headroom, and so that's a whole other thing. But Phoenix. So yeah, you get to X-Men 3, and it derailed so fast. Like,
and it's really sad because the actors were great.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was really all came down to the writing and the direction.
Yeah.
And of course, to be fair, the Bryan Singer left to do Superman Returns,
Right.
so it was kind of like last minute director change.
But and then there was like a little prize for James Marsden because I was like, okay, Cyclops gets booted out, but we're gonna write you a role in Superman, so that was kind of cool. I kind of
I mean, they even had Rogue taking the cure.
Right. James Marsden's character in Superman, I think, was actually a little bit more heroic than Cyclops at that point.
Everybody likes to rag on Cyclops.
Well, they don't do him right. They don't do him right.
I mean, I think the times I hate Cyclops the most is when he's whining and he's drinking and he's like not shaving, he's not taking care of himself because woe is me, Jean is gone again.
Well, I think that
and so the X-Men are like, hey, there's this world apocalyptic thing happening, we really need you to lead us, Scott. And he's like, no, go away, and it's like he fails his hero's journey all the freaking time.
Lauren is rewatching all of the X-Men movies right now, and she likes to say that now that she's an adult, she actually likes Scott Summers because he's just the adult that has to put up with everything.
That is so true.
At one point,
in fact,
true.
I think that's why they started. I think they took it too far, but there was a lot of accusations of, just like I said, the X-Men were a copy of Fantastic Four. That Cyclops' personality was
non-existent.
No, it was at that time pretty much the same as Captain America. So they were just like goody two shoes.
Yeah.
For the longest time is what a lot of readers and
so
fans
they
kind
wrecked
of
Scott Summers to get him away from being like Captain America.
Yes, and then like I said, psychic affair, which eventually they retcon again. That it was actually Emma Frost messing with his mind, and he had no moral responsibility for it. But I think that's one of the things about the Dark Phoenix saga, not just because it's cool. It was like their first like cosmic adventure, which like I said, Chris Claremont took them a whole different direction. If you get a chance to read X-Men Forever, if you are an X-Men fan, X-Men Forever was actually a mini-series that Marvel did. Fabian Nicieza had written the script for what would have happened had Chris Claremont not left the X-Men book and finished the stories and tied them up the way he did. They're actually kind of interesting. They're actually very interesting. So it goes another direction. So I want to see something like that.
I think it's so interesting how out of Earth X-Men gets.
Yeah.
Because, like, the whole concept of
Well,
X-Men,
Fantastic Four is the cosmic thing.
Yeah. And honestly, everything's just kind of gone so much further than Earth to begin with.
Right.
Like, when I associate with X-Men, it's always kind of, like, about the politics and, like, the social...
Right. And that's actually one of the things that we get out of the 2000 the movie from 2000, the first movie. I mean, not only is it important because it was, like, one of the highest commercially successful successful superhero franchise movies at the time. From Marvel.
Yeah.
Next to everybody forgets Blade. Blade beat him, and no, Howard the Duck does not. Well, he's technically Marvel, but doesn't count. And but
because I'm pretty sure Superman, the first Christopher Reeve Superman.
Yeah.
No, Superman. Yeah, you're right. But modern times is what I was meaning. Modern
I would say
times.
anything past like the Supermans, because like after a point, like they became like they stopped being good and like the franchise.
But then just like they do all the time is they like to line up the different media. So they started modeling Jean's personality after the movie version, which I think they ended up killing her again too. I think she's too nice. She takes too much. I don't know. Yeah. If I were her, I would just go to another star or something, because like I'd be done with Wolverine and Cyclops both. I'm sorry, both of them are terrible. Exactly. I mean, Wolverine started like a whole war just because he had a grudge against Cyclops. If you read A versus X and you like filter it down, basically Wolverine has a grudge against Cyclops, and so he convinces the Avengers to fight him. So anyway, hopefully you had some fun learning a little bit more weird facts about Phoenix, and go out to see a movie. Bullock, Texas State History Museum downtown.
Thursday, 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock will be
there. 2 showings. Yeah. Pick up some free passes, and maybe...
For kids, 12 and under.
Keep your eyes open for Easter eggs, because there's always Easter eggs now. You might pick up some of these things that we've said and go, like when you're talking about, actually, she was at the bottom of the bay.
After you watch it, just Google Phoenix Easter eggs.
Right? Somebody's going to be there immediately, actually. But,
And I'm Greg.
I'm Robin.
Oh, I'm Brad.
Take care, guys.